Welcome into Missing the Point. I am Michael Marcangelo, joined alongside my guys, Hollywood Ray Sean Buchanan, the real BK Bob Kelly. And seeing as we have just about run through the gamut of Boston sports teams this year, we've shit on the Bruins, we've shit on the Red Sox, we've shit on the Patriots. It's time to catch up on the Red Sox one more time now that they're at the midway point. They're 44 and 43. We're pretty close to the All-Star break here. They are the epitome of mediocrity. 12 games back in the division, 5 games back in the wild card. Before we get into the nitty gritty, Ray, you talked in the pre-show that you're gonna be the most optimistic because you've watched the most. Yep. So, what do you make of this season so far?
I still think it's underwhelming. I know that people, had the season over as soon as Corey Kluber became the opening day starter, which is valid. I don't think that
just fair, which is a completely fair thing to think.
No, for sure. I mean, obviously he was. I forget what his record has been. I know he's basically on the ILs. I put that in air quotes. That's essentially a DFA without really DFAing him. I just think that some of the moves they made, in the offseason, starting with not finding someone as a replacement for, Trevor Story, has helped lead to that. The Duvall injury early on when he seemed like he was going to be, Hunter Renfroe 2.0. Here I thought that was going to be something to watch as the year went on, and obviously, he's been, subpar, to say the least. He's been, back. I'm sure we can get into that later on. But, yeah, I just think that, there's a lot of things that had to break right for this team to, at the best, go 90 and 72. And it's right now, like I said, they're probably about to be at 500. I think they're down 5-4 as we record this on a Thursday night. They're in the rubber game of 3-game series against the Texas Rangers with Nathan Eovaldi was on the mound. But yeah, I just think that, from the injuries, from the offense sputtering at times, a lot of things have not gone their way. In addition to what the front office did at the beginning or in the offseason, that has led to their demise so far, in my opinion.
By the way, if you were one of those people like I was at the beginning of the year when Corey Kluber was your opening day starter, he's 3-6 with a 7.04 ERA. So
he's so garbage, man. He's so bad.
You are justified. Bobby,
absolutely.
44 and 43 on the verge of being 44 and 44. How are you feeling about what you've seen so far this season?
I mean, it's really twofold, if you ask me, because when you look at the performance of the actual team and the talent that actually is put out there on opening day, I think this team is overachieving. And when it comes to talent-wise, when it comes to the way that they were put together, I honestly think they're performing better, and they've had higher moments than I expected them to have at any point in this season. Whether it's the offense, whether it's great pitching performances, there has been moments. But at the same time, this has to be the most garbage put-together baseball team I have ever seen in my entire life. If you actually think about how bad I'm going to say his name wrong because fuck him, Chaim Bloom has put together this team, man, it's asinine.
It's like absolutely. It's like Hein Bloom.
Nah, it's Chaim. It's Chaim, bro. He is a shame. So is Chaim. Bro, it's just there's no direction for this team so far. That's my takeaway from the first half of this season is I don't know what the fuck we're doing. I don't know whether we're sellers, whether we're buyers, whether we actually have a core and a foundation for the future. It just feels like every move that he's made over the last 3 years has been stopgaps and trading away our biggest players. When you think about all the guys, right, that have come through Boston in the last 2.5 years for just these short, insignificant, stupid stops, it's immeasurable, bro. There's so many of them. It's you go down the list. Well, even just this year, Justin Turner is one of them. Duvall is another one. Then you go last year, we had Schwarber. And then, a couple of years ago, we have Renfroe. It's just you go down this list, man. And it's just, he doesn't know how to put together a baseball team and keep that team together. And I can't do it anymore. in the first half is just such a epitome of everything that's been wrong with this team for the last 3 years.
Right, but to add to that, what happens is those stopgaps, as you say, that he signs, they end up outperforming. So it's almost like he signs them as like a way to like, okay, yeah, like I brought somebody in, and then I remember, me and you was going back and forth with Bobby about Justin Turner. I thought he was going to be great here. He was like, if you're depending on a 38-year-old guy to be X, Y, and Z, I'm like, nah, but he is someone that's been in many big moments. Like I expect him to at least be decent, and yeah, he's been. If he hasn't been our best player at times, like he's definitely been in the top 3, the top 5, so far. But that's what happens. The stopgap, like Hunter Renfroe, was phenomenal in 2021. Hey, you're doing too well, Hunter. Now I gotta trade you back for for Jackie Bradley, like that. And once again, love Jackie defensively,
asinine, bro.
But come on, bro, like that's a top 5, maybe even top 3 worst move that any GM and boss has made in our lifetime, past, present, and hell, maybe even future. Like that was bad. That was really bad.
This feels like, to your point, Bobby, when you say that this is one of the worst put together baseball teams, and I always rail against Chaim Bloom for Tampa. Like he's trying to run a small market team in a big market, but this is like a bad Tampa Bay team from back in the day.
I mean, even those Tampa teams, right? So that's what Bloom is supposed to be, right? Yes, we had to ship out these stars, we had to ship out these big names, but what he's supposed to be able to do is win every single one of those trades, and that's what he did in Tampa. He got the Kevin Gausmans, he got the Blake Snells, he got the Wander Francos, he got all these dudes by trading away like James Shields, Evan Longoria. That's how he got all those guys in Tampa, and that's why they're as good as they are now. There is not one move since he's been here, not one, that he has actually won that trade. That yes, there may be, those first 2 years, you definitely, when you trade when it starts, looks like you lose. But like 3-4 years down the line, there's at least like a twinkle of hope. There's a dude coming. There's nothing for these moves that Bloom has made. Think about all the guys that have left that we've got nothing for. Nothing.
Before you go, Ray, I mean, maybe you can speak to this a little bit too. He's been preaching about the 5-year plan since he got here. Well, we're there, and we're still mediocre. So
not to jump on your toes, Ray, but that 5-year plan seems like it was, let's tear down a World Series winning roster in 5 years. That's the only plan I see.
Once again, 5 years ago, this team won 108 games.
What the fuck are we doing, man?
Yeah, 108 games. So with Mookie, with Benintendi, but happy birthday to him because it's his birthday today. I can't believe he's still in the 30, but I forgot how young he was when he came up here in 2015. But it's just like that. It's wild to me. It's wild to me that team won 108 games, and John Henry ownership said, you know what? I don't like that we won 108 games. Let's fight to win just about 80 games, because that's what happened the next year. They go 78-84. Obviously, 2020 was just a wipe away because they basically, didn't. No team. Most teams hardly competed that year, with the exception of us. Tampa Bay and like LA was in the World Series. But I mean, I do think, I know we said there's nothing that came back. I do think I don't know if he's gonna get voted in because Charles injured, but if Verdugo becomes an all-star, I think that may change. That changes what some, not all of us think about the deal, but what some think about that deal. Connor Wong has been better than when we expected, or to some expected. I know some of us on the show didn't think that he was going to be much of anything, but I think that the more that he's been thrusted into that role because of injuries to Reese McGuire and others, I think that he is shown to be someone who runs the bases well. You can't run on him. So I do think those guys have been Bryce birthday. I think the person that they were looking to be the cornerstone of that deal, you DFA him. So I think that's what people was kind of, scratching their heads like, well, if he was supposed to be the cornerstone of this deal, how do you just give up on him, prematurely because you have Mayer and York waiting in the wings down at AA. So that's just my take on it. I just think that maybe if Verdugo gets, he becomes a reserve, you look at that differently, because once again, he's been here for 3 years, and for him to be an all-star, for him to be as good as he's been this season, outside of the time that he got benched for not running out of play, He's been super consistent. Game winners, game saving plays at the plate. Toronto recently, and it's just timely hitting. Like he has been the consummate professional most of the time, and he's embraced the city. So I mean, what more? I don't know what much more we can get or want from Verdugo personally, but I get it. It was the attachment to Mookie, and I totally understand that.
Yeah, I think that there's just like to Bobby's point, there's time hasn't overwhelmingly won a trade, to Bobby's point, right? Like and maybe it will in the big scheme of things. But Bobby, I want to ask you a question because I'm still just trying to digest. Like this is the most poorly put together team that you can remember. The biggest thing plaguing this team, in my opinion, is the errors. They lead the MLB in errors. I'm sorry.
It's little league errors too, bro. It's such pitiful defense.
I've already been corrected on that before. They lead MLB in errors. I think
the MLB. It's not the MLB. It's MLB.
No. You can't say that. Now I do know. I went back and did some research. All of their errors have probably equated to 6 losses. If this team is 50-37, how are you feeling about
it? So first, I want to go back to the Mookie trade.
Of course,
in no universe is as Alex Verdugo could win MVP next year, and he's still that trio of players: Connor Wong and Jeter Downs and Verdugo. So I compare Verdugo to Benintendi. That's what I think Verdugo's comparison is. That's the type of player. He doesn't have much power. What?
Benintendi was going to be the next guy up here.
Right.
Or one of the next guys up here. So
for sure. But like, it's just that trade will go down in infamy forever for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah. But to be fair, we say that now, but like I said, had they got to the World Series in 2021 and somehow won, we're looking at that deal differently. We just aren't. We can say that now. We were so excited for that run in 2021. It was unexpected as well. Listen, me and Mike went down to the wire. Literally, we're going back and forth like they fucking blew it. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe they got a chance. And then, they got to the championship series. So I don't know. That's the same thing. You win 92 games. You win 92 games, and it's like, oh, let's not win over 90 games, guys. Let's just do enough to make sure that fans come and get a fucking hot dog for $17.50 and a Dell's lemonade, which is really good. By the
hot
way.
Dog.
But
no,
but the lemonade's phenomenal. But it's just like, what are we doing? But to answer my question before he blows the gasket, yes, if they were 50-37, yes, we would look at them a lot differently. And what are we talking? We're talking maybe the Marlins series, right? Because the Marlins series was a sweep a few weeks ago. The Pirates sweep early on in the year. The Pirates were doing really well at that time.
Was bad. The Pirates one was bad.
Well, no, it was bad, but it was like, they had a hard start, to the year. So those 2 sweeps there changed the game. But then you think about it, it's like they lose those series, and it's like, well, you haven't lost when you sweep the Yankees. You sweep Toronto. And you're just like, what? Like, it's so Jekyll and Hyde. It's ridiculous. But, like I said, but just to stay on course with your question, like I said, they were 50-37. You're looking at them as buyers at the deadline. And once again, when they were buyers at the deadline in 2021, once again, I know Robles ended up imploding in the championship series.
That fucking guy.
But hey, what he was from August through the rest of September, we're not there without his contract. So it's just like moves like that, those little things help. And once again, the bullpen's been a strength now this year, with Chris Martin and Jansen and Winkowski and other guys they put in there. Pavetta's been great in the bullpen too. So yeah, I don't know. But I just think, obviously between the errors, the untimely hitting, we feel a lot different, obviously.
To Bobby's point, they're Bush League errors.
Yeah, personally, I can't even imagine a universe where they're 50-37 with this team. I literally can't do it, man, because when you talk about good
plays the way,
what I always look for, what we all always look for, pitching and good defense. That is number 1 and number 2 signs of a good baseball team. Number 3 is consistent hitting. The Red Sox literally are 0 for 3 on every single one of those. When you look at the pitching, the pitching has been, besides Bello and recently Paxton, has been atrocious. The defense has been maybe the worst professional defense I've ever seen in my life. It's up there, right? It's definitely top 5, guys.
Like Cowboys in 2011.
That's fair. That is fair. See, that's where it's at, man. That is very fair. Good reference, bro. They
Well,
give up
you figure, like,
300
to your
yards
point,
on the
though,
ground a game.
To your point, they lead the league. They lead the league in errors. They're 5th in batting, and they're 19th in the league in ERA.
But the thing
They're
is,
just
with the
not
batting,
good.
man, is like even when the Toronto series, bats were on fire, and then they get to Miami and they just shut down. They scored 2 runs in 3 games.
They scored 11 runs in 5.
Well, yeah, same thing.
Just elongated a little bit, you know.
It's just
it's sad.
It's very sad, and that's no way to put together a playoff baseball team. Not even a championship team. I'm not even putting that word out there. A playoff baseball team.
Right.
But it's crazy. But what's crazy, I know you just mentioned with the ERA and stuff but it's like the pitching actually overall, once again, certain people have been still terrible, but overall has started to improve. And once again, it's about not catching breaks. Chris Sale, he was somewhat back, and then bam, I think that Reds game, I think in early June, he ends up getting hurt. Paxton, I think not player of the month, but pitcher of the month for the AL, so he's been awesome. That tweet that I talked about with Brayan Bello, I said that if he took a Walker Buehler type leap, I don't know when I said it. I think I said it maybe early April, late May. I mean, maybe late April, early May. And because people was like, "Oh, pump the brakes." I'm like, nah. Like, if he takes that leap, like we're in business going forward, and we're starting to see that. That changeup is filthy. That sinker is filthy, and now he's learning to pitch and not just throw. Like, there's a difference. Before, I think he was just throwing, and because he had great stuff, it was like, okay, I'm just going to throw here and just see what happens. Now he's pitching to spots. He's making sure he's getting ahead of the count. And when he gets up 1-2-1 or 0-2, that changeup is coming if you're a left-hander. That sinker is coming if you're a right-hander. And he's to steal the 2018 motto, he's doing damage. So we need to get back to that, because when he's on, he's become a stopper. Paxton has been great. Like I said, Sale showed some signs of life before going down. And once again, my guy Pavetta, I'm a big Pavetta guy. I hate that he's in the bullpen. I think that he at times was nails for us, especially a couple years ago.
We talked about it all the time that he was our stopper in 20.
Yeah. I mean, at one point he was. He was kind of like what Rick Porcello was at times.
Exactly.
Here. Yeah. Exactly. And that's what you need. You need those type of guys to get there. So Can
I just jump in, because you said that that I'm trying to really censor myself here. That Chris Sale, he was back. He was doing better.
I said somewhat. I said all the way back. Somewhat back.
Yeah, somewhat back. He was. Now the only things I care about are wins, losses, and ERA for a starting pitcher. That's all I care about.
So not strikeouts.
5-2 with a 4.58 ERA. It's not Chris Sale anymore, man. And that contract might be in the top 5 worst moves that Himes made. It's so bad. Well, when you think about
all said and done, yes, but at the time you still do it.
I get it.
You got to do it.
But when you think about what we ended up having to lose because we signed someone who clearly was on, I know he won us that World Series. I get it. I know you had to give him that money. Totally get it. But it cost you Eovaldi. It cost you Porcello. It cost you all these dudes that are still good pitchers in MLB. And Chris Sale hasn't had a season with more than 10 starts since you signed him to that contract. That's bad, man. I get it.
He went from being Chris Sale. He went from being Chris Sale to John Burkett in 5 years.
I don't
And
even
that's
say John Burkett, but
Yeah,
he was a 10-10, 4+ ERA guy back in 2002. That's what he is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. To
except he
me,
threw like 82 miles an hour. But
that's I mean that's the next level type of comparison there. But I know when lost the ERA that yes, I would not sit here and disagree with that. I just think with him when that's sweeping curveball like how Randy Johnson had, he has a similar pitch. When he's on, and we started to see it again, guys were looking foolish at the plate, and I mean that to me was the eye test. Like, oh yeah, this is not what he'll never be what he was in 2017. But I was okay. Is he getting back enough to because even at 85%, when he's on, he's going to be better than most pitchers. And I think some people were starting to get confidence behind it. It's like, okay, like now you got a 3-headed monster here because Paxton started to pitch better himself. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously there was a lot of it just goes back to a lot of things had to go right, and because they haven't, like I said, they're sitting with the record they're at. But like I said, I agree with Bobby's original statement. For them to be a game over 400, over 500, like I said, right now, once again, is it underwhelming? Sure, but it's damn near a miracle.
yeah, it is, man. Because when you actually think about how this roster was put together and the potential of what this roster could have been if Bloom didn't get cute and decide that instead of re-signing this guy to 20 million, we're going to re-sign these 3 guys to 8 million. We're looking at a roster with Schwarber on it still, with Renfroe on it, with Xander, with you go down the list of what the murderers row this lineup could look like if they just saw what they had and kept it going, man. But they decided they're like the opposite of the Bruins. You know what I mean? The Red Sox had a great team, and we're like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's blow it out. We don't need to do this anymore. The Bruins, however, year after year, decide not to blow it up and make us want to blow our brains out. So it's
yeah. I mean, and once again, this is not their show. This is not their show, but I mean, since you brought that up, I have to address that. You trade for Orlov and Bertuzzi, right? Thinking that those guys were going to be missing pieces, and then both of those guys are gone now.
Red Sox
Orlov's in Carolina, and then Bertuzzi went up to Toronto for a year at 5.5 million. Really?
There's our preview of our Bruins show, guys.
Yeah, we'll get into that, but it's just like that. So yeah, once again, all the front offices are garbage at this moment. So
let me ask you a question, Bobby. Like you just kind of went through the moves, and you said that this team's overachieved. I'm going to ask Ray this question first. When do you think was the last time the Red Sox front office put out a team on the field to win a championship?
I mean, 2018.
Yeah, that's the answer.
Yeah, easily.
Even
like
2021, they was not put together to win a championship.
Yeah, 2021, they lucked into whatever happened. Once again, they were kind of teeter-tottering, and then they from late July on, they caught fire.
Yeah, it was like 2013 all over again.
Yeah. Right, exactly. And cool that they just took the lead right now in the 7th. But yeah, like they exactly. That's exactly what happened. I think they remember they was kind of shaky against New York, and then they got the final 3 against Washington that year, and then that propelled them. But so I guess you could say 2021 technically, but 2018, like I said, just came into. I feel like that was the culmination of everything, right? 2016, you come in, they win. I think that was like the first time. 2016, 2017, 2018 was the first time they had won the AL at least 3 years in a row since 07 through 09. So I feel like 18 was the culmination of everything that happened in 2016 when they got swept by Cleveland, and then losing to Houston in the first round in 2017. 2018, they get Cora, they get some other guys in there and just put everything together, and they just went they went crazy on the whole league. So and like I said, that's a Dombrowski put together team. And then like I said, literally a year later, between injuries and people getting traded, that was the last that we saw of that, particular, iteration of the Red Sox.
You know what? That's 100% the answer. Is 2018 is the last time they put together a team to win a ship, because ever since then, I feel like Bloom's been running this team almost like that dude that doesn't know what he's doing at work, so he just does a bunch of things and just keeps working and looks like he's really busy, but like he's not actually doing anything of substance. And that's what we've seen since that 2018 season. There's just been really just the exile of great players and bringing in mediocre players over and over and over and over and over again. And it's just like, bro, you can't. I've said this so many times on this goddamn podcast, but you can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. It is the definition of insanity. So,
all right. So, Bobby, now your turn. It's been 5 years since they proactively tried to put out a team to win a championship, and they missed the playoffs this year. How does Bloom keep his job?
He can't. If he can't, it would be an insult to all Red Sox fans everywhere if he is still the general manager of this team and making these same type of moves, because we're at the point now where the fans are fed up, and it's clearly showing in the attendance. When you watch a Red Sox game, I haven't seen Fenway Park that empty my entire life. Maz went to the 4th of July game this past weekend, obviously. And he said it was the worst environment that he's watched a Red Sox baseball game in his entire life. He spent 3 innings in that stadium and went from being a positive, like, oh no, they'll figure, to blow it up. I'm sick of this team. He was done. He saw them in person one time, and it was like, blow this entire team up. It's I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, from 2005 to 2019, they averaged, like, Fenway averaged 36,000 people per game. This season, they're 29-1, and that's big for the Red Sox. That is huge. That is a huge drop off.
Do you remember? We definitely don't remember this. Growing up, trying to go to Red Sox games on the day of the game, you would have to line up like 4.5 hours early, and you'd have to wait in this whole goddamn huge line, and there was no guarantee you'd even get tickets. So most of the times you'd sit there for 3 hours, not get in, and you'd be 100% okay with it. You're like, oh man, right. To the Sox, that was great, bro. That now they're giving away tickets. Someone lined up for opening day to get an opening day ticket, and he was the only one in line all day long. Do you know how crazy that? When you think about Boston and the Red Sox, man, this city used to bleed red.
Yeah, before they won.
Right, but like even 2018, this city loved that team.
Yep.
Think about that. Well,
I can't watch them anymore. I barely watch them.
Before we move into another segment, right? Think about the 2018 year. It was around this time in 2018. And my thing was against Toronto. Toronto came here, and I remember X on the call. Obviously, there were Brian's there, and Jay.
It's time to party. It's time to party.
Yeah, it's time to party. That's that crowd was on fire.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
If they could have came up and body slammed Jay Happ in that moment, like they would have. Like that's how electric that crowd was. So the 13 pitch had bat, and then he hits the grand slam. Like that was. Like that was just a euphoric feeling, and it hasn't. Well, it wasn't topped until Kike went crazy in 2021, because that was also crazy. I mean, I feel like I was me. That's the most me and Bobby ever talked. Every other it was like, oh my god, can you fucking believe it? He did it again. Like it was so like we want to have more of those feelings, and that's something all the time. People can say what they say about the Patriots or something. It's like when the Red Sox are good or they're great, they are the best ticket in town. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. So my thing is, you would think you would want to put a product on the field that's worthy of fan engagement. And right now, that's almost a 25%, decrease. Not to get too math. I'm a math teacher. But yeah, that's a 25% decrease. That's huge. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. There's been a lot of hot dogs is not being eaten. A lot of lemonades is not being drank. It's a problem. It's a problem.
Yeah.
Get it together.
So knowing that again, let's just say that as we're recording the show, they are 44-43, so they're just a game above 500.
Yep.
Trade deadline's August 1st. Bobby,
Yep.
are they buyers or sellers at the trade deadline? And tell me why.
Neither. I think it's going to be the same. I know I'm such an asshole. This podcast. It's going to be the same shit that we've seen, man. It's going to be insignificant moves. Listen, personally, I think they should blow it up. I think they should trade Turner. I think they should trade Story. I think they should trade everyone and get back pieces that you can actually build on for the future, pieces that are actually going to hang around here. Because if you don't,
Yeah, but
it's
Bobby,
going to be the same story all over again.
Why would you try to invest in the future when this GM has proved that they're not going to pay their homegrown talent anything once their contract expires?
So then what the hell are we doing? what so
the better question is, what is Dave Dombrowski doing?
Let me get this straight. So
We're
not going to pay the guys that we trade for that turn into all-stars, right? We're not going to pay existing all-stars. We're not going to pay all-stars that are already on our team, but we're going to pay all-stars from 5 years ago and bring them in on a $10 million contract and bring all-stars in that have been hurt for the last 3 years. And it's so asinine when you think about the moves that actually we signed Trevor Story for what, 19 mil a year, 18 mil a year, something crazy like that. And Xander Bogaerts left over 8 mil or however much it was, however big the difference was. All that money could have gone to Xander. It's just, it's crazy the moves that have been made without thinking about the impact that they're going to make on your future self. You know, they're just so mean to the future selves where they get into these situations and you're like, bro, what the hell did you guys do? What just happened? It's crazy, man. If this was, let's put it this way, if this was the Dallas Cowboys, I would literally throw myself out a goddamn window if this is how they treated this team, because I'm used to it by this point after 4 or 5 years. Like, I'm not even upset about it anymore. But like, for any professional sports team to take a roster that we had and turn it into this and try and sell it to the actual fan base that you're making the right moves for this club is literally fraud. You are frauding the Red Sox nation. That's what Bloom and Henry are doing.
Follow that, right?
I mean, I echo a lot of that sentiment. Like, to me, it's wild that Sam Kennedy and Chaim Bloom and John Henry and, the rest of the management crew has really, try to finesse the fan base. Even forget about finessing the fan base, like finessing your actual team. Like, these are professional players that their livelihoods are on the line when they win or lose. So for you to put a product out there that's not highlighting them in the best capacity, or in the best light, I should say, that's a problem. And once again, you luck into, you luck into what happened in 2021. You would think, okay, let's build off this. Let's get a pitcher or two. Let's get another utility guy. And once again, I think they're really good at getting a little, like I said, once again, like that stopgap talent. Like, I like Ref Snyder. I like what I said, I like what Verdugo's on. Like, there's certain
even
players.
Arroyo. I think Arroyo might be his best move at this point.
Well, I mean, you know how I feel about him, but it's up and down with him. But it's just like, to me, there's just some guys that need to step up in order for them to be taken more serious. So I think about Cassis. I know, our wonderful producer Craig has been the number one cheerleader for Tristan Cassis. 223, 9 home runs, 27 runs batted in. He was supposed to be this on-base machine, supposed to be a guy that was going to hit for average, also with power. When he gets into a ball, he really gets into one, but he also gets aggressive when he shouldn't be. So he has a long way to go. Needless to say, I'll give an answer. I won't say neither. I'll say that they're probably going to become sellers. They do. I don't think they're going to become buyers, unless they go on like a 6 or 7 game winning streak right now. That kind of push them a little bit closer to the wild card. Then maybe that changes their mind. But I do think that they eventually start moving off some deals.
Ray,
Because just what it is. So,
do you think it will actually change their mind? Because the amount of times this season that this team has won 9 out of 15 games and then lost 15 out of 23 games following that, like, how do you get a reading off of it?
Well, the reason why I said it, so look, okay, so they just swept Toronto, right? Now they're here playing Texas. Texas was just up 5-3. They're now beating. It's becoming a joke right now. Texas is up. I mean, the Red Sox up 10-5 right now.
Red Sox?
Yeah, it's up 10-5. Wow. So it's like all of a sudden for them to get smacked by the Marlins, and then you potentially now win 5 out of 6 against Toronto and Texas. It's just like, what? It's like if they face the AL West or AL Central, you'd be looking at them as probably the 3rd best team in baseball, because they've been beaten by everyone else. They just can't do nothing in the AL East and the NL Central. Those are the only 2 divisions that have everybody else they have run through essentially. So I'm just like, what? Like, I just maybe change the schedule. I don't know, but obviously but it's wild. It's wild to me.
If we were in the Central Division, we'd be 1 game back of the
division. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So it's just like clearly, like I said, there's been some games where you're like, oh, okay, like maybe they figured this out. I think Oakland is coming here. Once again, if you're gonna have a shot at the end of this month, you gotta at least get 2 out of 3 from Oakland, because Oakland once again is they're the 2000s Detroit Tigers, except for 2006. That team was pretty bad. I think that team had lost like 119 games. Shout out to my guy Curtis Granderson, though. But
who was the guy that lost 20 games multiple times from those teams? Fuck, what's his name?
Oh, I forget off the top of my head.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
I do know who you're talking about, but I forget who the guy is. But crazy. Yeah, so yeah, we'll figure it out after probably. It'll come to as soon as Mike raps it, we'll be like, oh, that's the guy. But they become sellers though. I just, to me, like I said, unless they dominate Oakland and Chicago, which once again, Oakland and Chicago are not good teams this year. I think that if they win 4 out of 6 or 5 out of 6 against these next 2 teams, before the break, maybe they're looking at things a little bit differently.
Mike Maroth was the answer.
Oh yeah! Wow. Oof.
Yeah, it's a name.
Yeah, wow.
But, yeah, I mean, it's just so difficult for me, man, because the Kluber signing just really is what irks me, man, because that's literally money that $10 million is the amount of money is why Michael Wacha is not part of this staff after the year he had last year, and is why Eovaldi is not part of this staff. And Eovaldi's my guy. All right, him and his grunting 100-mile-an-hour fastballs were some of my favorite things in baseball. I loved every single time that dude was on the hill. I was watching. I was locked in. And the fact that you let him walk after all he did for you, right? You let him walk. I don't even think they made a significant offer towards him, and decided to use that money to go out and sign Corey fucking Kluber, who literally hasn't been good in 3 years. So it's just like you can make all the moves you want at the deadline, Red Sox. I don't care. I really don't, because it's just at this point where, like, okay, cool. What are you guys going to go 10 games above 500? And then next month you'll be 11 games under, and we'll be right back in the same place that we were, because you don't have the pitching to sustain. That's what every time I see these streaks that they go on, that's what always it comes back to it for me, is like, you can get hot at the plate. You can, make defensive plays because you are professional baseball players. But when it comes down to it, if you don't have the pitching, losing streaks happen. It's
really the defense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really the defense though. Because like the pitching,
you need a stopper, man. You have to have a stopper.
They have 2 right now. Bello and Paxton have been those guys. So I just think it's obviously, I mean, hopefully Tannehill comes back good, because I know that play was crazy.
You mean Pedro Jr.? Pedro Jr., bro.
He's doing it right. Yeah, listen, I'm here for it. But like I said, Tannehill coming back. I listen at this moment and hear me good, Alice Cora. Hear me good, Chaim Bloom. Hear me good, whoever needs to. Garrett Whitlock is not a major league starter.
No, he's not. We need
Put
to stop
him
that.
back in the bullpen and let him be the guy before you get to Chris Martin and the Kenley Jansen.
Bro.
Or Curly Jansen, excuse me. Get him out of the rotation and put him back in the bullpen.
We've been saying that.
Put Pivetta back in the starting rotation. Leave Winkowski, Whitlock, Martin. I forgot. Some of the names are escaping right now, but the bullpen's been fine.
Schriever? Do we still have Schriever?
Oh, Schriever, he's coming off the DL. So yeah, like that's another guy. So let that be the thing. Garrett Whitlock, I'm over it. Like once again, I've been calm this whole pocket, but that's something that's gonna be mad. I don't want to see him as a starter on this team for the rest of the year. And if I do, he's not starting. Like you are a 2 or 3 inning guy, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. You were brilliant in the bullpen a few years ago. So once again, do what got you to the fucking dance, and just deliver that way. It's that simple. And sorry, I can't. We got through this whole show and haven't brought this up, unless Mike was going to. So if you did, I'm sorry. I love you anyways. Kiki's got to go. He's got to go. Because Mike asked me, were you going to upset Brayshawn? Now I'm mad. Kiki's got to go. The 2021 run has worn out. Every time this man is at the plate, it is a guaranteed out right now.
He's statistically the worst shortstop in all of professional baseball.
Right.
So
number 32. You're looking like me when I played in a little league at shortstop. You can't hit to save your life. You're swinging that breaking balls that's 3 or 4 inches off the plate. You can see from the picture that he has the rotation and it's spinning off the plate, and you're still swinging at it. I don't understand. It's like they could throw a slider, you're swinging. You could throw a cutter off the plate, he's swinging. You could throw a fork ball, and this man is swinging. Like, it's unbelievable that any pitch can get him out right now, and it's wild to me. Alice Cora, I don't care about the rapport. I don't care that that's your boy. I don't care that you see him as a little brother or a second son. I don't care. Once again, hang out in the fucking offseason if that's the case. He does not need to play every day if he's going to stay on the team. And if not at the least, designate him for assignment and say good riddance. It's time, bro. It's time. Like it's time. He's not a full-time major league player anymore. And for them trying to convince us every day, it's a joke and it's an insult to what we are as a fan base here. Because someone asked me, would you expect him to be in LA? No, you don't need to be in LA. But I'm like, what we saw 2 years ago as opposed to what we're seeing now, or even at times last year before he got hurt, like, it's okay. It happens. People they fizzle out. That's what it looks like is happening here. It's time, because it's literally deflating to have 2 guys on base that are at second and third with 1 out, and then he strikes out or he pop flies to center. It's a fucking joke. Get rid of him.
Okay, well, before everyone starts drinking the bleach at home, can we before we start talking about the Grant Williams trade and the Celtics and their offseason, I want to just end the Red Sox on a happy note. So what would you say are the brightest spots of this team so far this year, Bobby?
There's one, Brayan Bello. He is.
I think there's 2.
All right. Well, you can say number 2, but Bello is number 1 for me, and it's not even close, man. He's a legit starter. He is a legitimate basement number 2 starter in the MLB, and I think he has ace stuff when he's on. I don't think that's debatable. The fact that Pedro Martinez is actually looking at this dude and being like, "Wow," I think speaks volumes. He's by far the bright spot. Him, and I know Cassis has looked really bad at sometimes, but he's looked really good, and I think that really good aspect is going to be what ends up breaking through. I hope. I also think he's also a name that you could see come up in deadline rumors coming up, because that's the Red Sox style. That's what we do.
Right?
That better not be the fucking case as you did fade Hosmer. That better not be, Bobby. That better not be the case after you. Sorry, you said something positive. Sorry. Okay,
Positive.
sorry. Excuse me. So yes, Bello for sure has been.
Is it
by far the
Brayan?
No, so Brayan Bello. Yeah, Bello.
It is Brayan. Okay.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah. You can say brain, but no, it's Brian. No. Yeah. Listen, but there's a few. There's more than one or two. But listen, I think Verdugo's been awesome. I think Chris Martin has been phenomenal. I think Jensen. Awesome. I think Jensen has been really well. Also, he's an all-star. So I think even guys like Rep Snyder has played well. Yeah, and obviously James Paxton. Like Paxton has been also good. So those are a few that come to mind. But it's unfortunate that it's going to get overshadowed by the poor defense and untimely injuries. But those are a few guys that come to mind.
It's tough to remember how good Paxton really was when he was in Seattle for those 2 years, man. He was unhittable for 2 years. So
yeah,
it's good to see that come back.
I'm just going to give you my two bright spots. One's actually bright. One is Mike Bright. I think Yoshida. I think that's a hit. Mm-hmm. I think that's. Yeah. And listen, that doesn't always pay off here. I mean, I don't want to go back there, right? Or Dice came out.
Dice
all of them. Whenever we sign any international players in the last 15 years, they really haven't panned out. This guy looks
like Koji international? No, he came from internal, right?
Who was the guy that we paid hundreds of millions of dollars to talk to, and then he was terrible?
Rusney Castillo?
Yeah.
The guy with the longest baseball swing in the world. Dude took 7 seconds to swing a goddamn baseball bat.
I mean, Yoshida's batting .310. And I think he's a bright spot for me.
He should have been an all-star, honestly. Should have made it over Merrifield.
Yeah, they have a couple on the team, surprisingly, but it is what it is.
The other bright spot for me is we are now approaching the exact same amount of time that Chris Sale was with the White Sox as he has been with the Red Sox. Do you want to guess what the innings pitch disparity is? So he was with the White Sox for 7 years.
I'll say about 50 innings.
He was with the White Sox for 7 years. He's been with us entering 7. This will be his 7th year once if he completes it, which he won't. In the 7 years with the White Sox, he pitched 1,110 innings. In the now 6.5 years with the Red Sox, he has pitched 623 innings.
Wow.
He has not pitched over 160 innings all but once since being with the Sox. And I bring him up as a bright spot because
it was the World Series year.
Yeah, 2018. Well, 2018 he only pitched 158, so he's never pitched one. He pitched 20. He pitched 214 in 2017 with the Sox.
Well, he was actually hurt for 2018 for some of it too, right?
Shocker.
Yeah.
Shocker. No, well, 2019 is when it really, it really started to go downhill here for him. So
yeah, I just say that this is a bright spot for me because the three of us have been saying this about Chris Sale for the better part of the last 36 months. That we can't depend on him. We need to get rid of him. He's never going to be the guy that he was, and he just keeps proving us right. So, thank you. At least this injury happened again while playing or while training, and it wasn't falling over a car or punching some innocent bystander.
Yeah, honestly, I'm here for him. I want him to use some steroids at this moment because I don't care. At this moment, whatever's going to keep your body together just to get through the season, HGA something, because once again that's what Clemens and Pettit were doing in Houston, because you cannot tell me them guys were still frontline guys there, but they were on. This man was fucking 18-1 at 42. Are you kidding me? What? So
he's a freak.
Ridiculous. Once again, it was still great to watch the pitch.
One more positive note before we get to Grant, and it's something that we were also right about. Is going back to what Ray said about Whitlock. The moment the Red Sox announced they were moving him from the bullpen to the starting rotation, I don't know if you guys remember this, but we were all instantly outraged because at that time, that bullpen was garbage and he was the only positive spot in the entire bullpen. So there were so many different aspects of why we knew that was a bad idea. And we're still here 3 years later, and it's still a goddamn bad idea, Red Sox. What the fuck are you doing? Get him back in the bullpen. Sorry, go ahead. We were right.
big news in the NBA. Big news for the Celtics. Turns out Batman's no longer residing in Boston. The Boston Celtics were part of obviously a three-team deal that sent Grant Williams to the Dallas Mavericks and 2 future first-round picks via the Celtics. We receive 1, 2, 3 second-round picks and no player. So we give up Grant, who then signs a 4-year, $54 million contract, sign and trade. We give them 2 future second-round picks. We receive 3 second-round picks. Is this okay? First of all, Ray, how do you feel about this trade overall? Number 2, is this setting up for something bigger? And what if it isn't?
So, listen, I'm happy that Grant got his money. I think that I'm all for players getting paid. I know that he fell out of favor, not only on the show, but amongst most of the fan base. So I get that. But, I'm happy for him to get his $13 million a year. I remember, people saying it was going to be, between 17 to 20 mil, which I always thought that was a pipe dream for him to get that amount. But, once again, cashing in, getting 13 mil a year. I think that he'll be a valuable piece down there to an extent. With Dallas, because they need guys that can defend. That's going to be around Luka, because Luka is not the strongest defender. So I think that's going to be a good move for him, because sometimes change of scenery is the best thing. Now, as far as what I think Brad's going to do, I've said this time and time again. I'll continue to say this. I am fully on board with Brad, the GM. Once again, I had my concerns with him as the coach after a while. As the GM, he has not let me down at all in his 2+ years of being a GM. To me, he has not missed. Once again, there's going to be moments when that happens. Excuse me. Obviously, going down the road, but right now, I trust that he's going to figure it out. So they were able to create a $6 million trade player exception for him. I forget why it wasn't the full 13, but I think it's because of some of the money they signed. It was going to Dallas, so they can only get half of what that salary was going to be, something along those lines. So, needless to say, there's a guy that fits that CPE that I have been clamoring for since he got out the draft in 2020, and he plays down in Atlanta. And his name is Sadiq Bey. Mm-hmm. He's getting $4.5 million, and I'm telling you, I don't drive, but I promise you, I'd meet him at Logan Airport tomorrow if that was a guy that we were going to get back in a deal that fit under the trade player exception and didn't extend him. He is the James Posey type that we've been looking for. He would be phenomenal here in my opinion. Knows his role, he defends. He's going to hit the corner 3 when out there, and he's just not afraid at the moment. Like I'm hoping that that's the move that it is. But it could be something where it doesn't work out for them to get a major deal done, right? And I know the Bleacher Report mentioned that they're looking to make a seismic deal. I don't think that happens this offseason. I think that may happen maybe towards a trade deadline or maybe even next, offseason. I think Brogdon is still here for 2 more years, at least under contract. So I think they're actively looking. But I think hopefully like Sadiq Bey is the move that they make that helps right now. And then, you can make that seismic deal next year because they have a couple of firsts to give away and then they have about 5 or 6 seconds. So they're in good position draft capital wise. They just have to make sure they're underneath that second.
Do you really value second round picks in the NBA?
Well, I guess now because first round picks, I guess they guarantee money. So it's like, they count those on the cap. So right. If they count those on the cap, it's like you give those away. It's like, okay, you take away some of that money off that's projected off the cap. But with the second round pick, because those aren't guaranteed contracts, that's where teams are looking to stockpile them because you can get guys that are not guaranteed deals, or you can put them on what they call the 2-way contracts so they can go back and forth between the G League and the NBA. So I think that's why teams are going after it so much now. Because I think going between that first tax apron to the second tax apron, I think a lot of teams are going to do a lot of cap gymnastics to make sure that they stay under that as much as possible. So once again, in the immediate, I hope that it's Sadiq Bey. But then long term, if they're able to bring another star here going forward, then hey, so be it. Maximize the talent that you have here.
It's so funny that the second round picks made such a renaissance out of nowhere, man. I don't know what happened. It was, I forget what trade it was this past year, but all of a sudden it was like this and 74. Exactly. And 7 second round picks, and all of a sudden,
that was wild. I said five second round picks for Jay Crowder. I said,
but it's like now all of a sudden every single one of these big deals has numerous second round picks attached to it, and it's like it just came out of nowhere. So that's really the biggest thing that points towards there's another move coming, because in no universe or alternate timeline that we're in is Brad using these second round picks. He's not sitting here like, bro, I got so many diamond in the roughs that are bringing it up at 18 is not even funny. Wait till you see what I got up my sleeve. That's not happening. If it does, it's like 10 times what DK said 3 years ago, where he's like, I don't want them to take a goddamn pick. I'll be pissed if they do. If they actually use these second round picks, that's terrible. But here's my trade. It hasn't been talked about much until recently. Pascal Siakam. And it's very known that the Raptors are shopping him. They're clearly rebuilding. Van Fleet's gone. And they signed Poeltl to that huge deal. I don't know why they did that. But they're clearly rebuilding. Siakam, I don't think, can be the one by himself on a team. And now that team's kind of crumbled, I think that's something that they would look into. I don't know what it would take. I don't think you would have to trade JB to get Siakam here. But I think that, to me, would make sense basketball-wise too, because then you have you may have an undersized front court, but then you would have a very big front backcourt. Am I saying this wrong?
Well, I mean, he's 6'9" himself, so I mean, it's not.
No, I'm saying so. Front court is center power forward, right? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. So front court, you'd have an undersized, front court for sure, but they'd be uber athletic and they'd be able to stretch the floor at all times. And then you have an oversized backcourt with JT, JB, Smart, or not Smart, and White.
Nope, not anymore.
No more Smart. White, Brogdon. So I feel like that would be a good balance there too. And again, then you can stretch the court like Ray. You always say score from all 3 levels. Can you imagine a more deadly team from all 3 levels than that?
Who are you giving up for Siakam?
I don't see. That's what it'd be. All those picks. So it'd be every pick that we have.
You got to give a player though. Like we got to be realistic. You got to give a player.
Brogdon, I guess Brogdon, Pritchard, Williams, and I don't know. Some rookies.
Pritchard's gonna.
Brogdon and Time Lord? Nah. Like if you want to say Brogdon, Pritchard, and the first round picks in it, cool.
For Siakam, though, Siakam's good, man.
But no, he is. But unless so, this is just me. This is how I feel about it. And we talked about this with Josue when he came on right before this draft. Because they have the guy that I think is Rob 2.0 and Precious Achiuwa. If you put Precious Achiuwa in the deal,
I like Precious.
Center back, okay, I would do that trade if that was the case. I don't know why Toronto would do that, but once again, as a fan, as someone who's looking to dream, I would take Siakam and Achiuwa if that was the case. But I like Gary Trent Jr. I like his game a lot. I don't know if he got re-signed to a deal or not. I don't know if he got a qualifying offer for them. Malachi Flynn was in the same job as Payne Pritchard. They played against each other in college. He's pretty good off the bench, but yeah, I do think, to me, I feel like Masai Ujiri would ask for Jaylen Brown in the deal, because that just, to me, that you wouldn't be doing your due diligence if you didn't at least ask for Jaylen Brown in return for that type of deal. Once again, I think defensively you become better right away. I think that Siakam was a better playmaker. The ball handling. I mean, once again, we make the jokes. I mean, I don't know. He's not someone that's going to create with his hands, so I'm not really concerned about his ball handling. But he does move the ball pretty well, and you do know that he's going to defend at a high level. So it's worth talking about. It's worth discussing. I think that would be, really cool. But my thing is, I'm at a point now where I'm just not going to offload JB just to offload. I know that people are upset. I know that people think that it needs to be. Well, I mean, we say we can't, but it's like it's happening. Or not happening, but people are talking about it as if like they should give him away for, a second round pick. Jonathan Kuminga is also someone who fits in that TPE.
Back to TPE talk, bro. I love TPE talk.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued by Kuminga's game as well. I think Golden State would be foolish to give up on him. Excuse me, if I could talk this early in his career, but they already gave up on Wiseman from a few years ago. So yeah, if you can either get Saddiq Bey or Jonathan Kuminga here, I think Kuminga fits what they're trying to do a little bit more than even Saddiq Bey. As much as I like Saddiq Bey, but yeah, I just think that they need to be on the phone and making those calls to see what happens. But they're far from done. I think their roster space is at 14. So that they're gonna have to add a couple more players, probably from one player from summer league. I want Blake to be back, so I want that on record. I'm a Blake Griffin guy. I thought that he was phenomenal in his role, and I think that he deserved a spot back on the team the next year if he wants it. And then that leaves 2 more spots to be filled. So hopefully Saddiq Bey, Kuminga, or somebody that we don't even know yet is on their way to Boston before the start of training camp.
There's got to be something because you just gave up a 4 for 58 guy for 2 second-round picks. So there's.
But I mean, that's the deal. That's the deal they offered him last year, and he said no. So I think they was like, "Yo, we offered this to you, and now this is the deal you taking." It was like, "Yo, good riddance."
We also gave Dallas 2 second-round picks.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
No, we got second-round picks.
It was a pick swap, right? It was a pick swap, right?
Yeah. So we received 2024 second-round pick, 2025 second-round pick swap, 2028 second-round pick, and we gave the Mavericks 2 future second-round picks.
Got you. Okay. Yeah. I mean, people were saying, well, why that was the case? Why couldn't you get Reggie Bullock? Maybe they're looking to get someone that's a better fit than Reggie Bullock. Yes, shout out to Reggie. I'm a UNC guy, so I know that he can play. He's found a way to get a certain niche in the league. He's been in the league now, I think, for I think at least 5, 6, maybe 6, 7 years now.
He's too expensive for them. They weren't going to do that.
Well, I don't even know what his current deal is.
15 mil a year for
Bullock. Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah. So yeah, that is a lot now. So yeah. So once again, they got the TB. Figure out if you can get another 3-and-D guy in here that can replace what Grant was doing. Once again, unless you think that Jordan Walsh and O'Shea Brissett can fill that void, which they will some games. Don't get me wrong, but it won't be to the point where they're doing that every night. And once again, there's going to be games when O'Shea Brissett is going to turn. He's going to become Reggie Lewis 2.0, and there's going to be games when he's Vitaly Potapico. So we just have to be prepared for that. So just saying.
Any final words for you boys on this trade?
We just want more. We hope that more is on the way.
Yeah, 458 is definitely too rich for my blood for Grant Williams. Totally understand why you didn't match that, but
yeah,
I need more on this roster. We can't go into this season with this roster. I think it's improved. I think it's different than last year, which I love. But there's a piece missing somewhere. I don't know what it is until they do it. But if this goes into the regular season with this roster, there's a
I don't think
talent from what I think they could be.
Right, and another thing before we do head out, for those fans that believe that they lost so much grit and toughness with the subtractions of Grant and Marcus, I want you to look back no further than May 29th, 2023. They were on the floor, and when you hear Eddie Palladino say, Miami Heat 103, the Boston Celtics 84. Your Miami Heat are your 2023 Eastern Conference champions.
Why you got to do that to me, Ray? Why you got to do that?
But no, I'm saying we're saying, but I'm like people are crying about they lost so much toughness, but I'm like the same fucking toughness you're talking about was on the floor, and Miami took their heart, as Mike was saying, took their heart.
Fair.
So I mean, my thing is just I want that to let that sizzle. For some of you fans out there,
pun intended.
Pun intended, big time. Let it go. This team needed a shift, and ironically, you could bet your bottom dollar that the energy is about to shift. So believe that.
That was a very smart take you had there, Ray.
Great. All right. So for the real BK, Bob Kelly, Hollywood Ray Sean Buchanan, this is Michael Marcangelo saying thank you for listening to Missing the Point. We'll talk to you next week.